Before we get started, we want to give a shout out to our sponsor, the Magic Satchel. Link in the description. Make sure you check him out for all your cards, supplies, and everything you need to play this game. He's the best. And with that out of the way, enjoy the video.
Hey Team Absolution fans, is the number of clans really just getting you down? Do you just think, when is my support coming? I've got to wait, but it's just me and 23 other clans in here. Well, let's talk today about, are there too many clans? Stick around. Hey Team Absolution fans, thanks for sticking around. Let's talk about, do we have too many clans? Let's find out.
Mm-hmm.
So, first of all, this is not the most clans we have ever had. However, even with one clan effectively gone in Token Ranbu, we don't have that anymore. For
Pull
now,
one out for my boys.
Yeah, for real. For now, we don't have Token Ranbu. Probably won't be getting them back. Do we still have too many clans alongside the way Bushi is attempting to support them all right now? I think it feels to most people like yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably where we're going to start things. I mean, all of these clans are fairly diverse. They each have their own identity.
To a
degree.
Good enough.
Yeah, good enough. The gimmicks are similar, but yet still different. So they've had, many years to figure out what this is supposed to look like. Going on, 9 years now, Vanguard?
Since 2013, so almost 7 years now.
Okay. I feel like it was longer, but okay.
It was longer. It was 2011, wasn't it? So it's 8.5 years now.
Yeah, it was I think it got released in 2012 in English, so. No, wait, you're still right. It's still like 7. Okay, going on 8 years. We'll go with that. Cool.
Wait a second.
We're in the 8th year. Yeah. So they've had a lot of time to really differentiate what these clans are about, so I'll give them that. They've done that to a degree and changed mechanics over and over to keep things fresh. However, there's still kind of an issue here where people are waiting a long time between sets of support. Some clans don't see a support every year. Some get exactly one set of support every year, and some get multiple. So it kind of feels like
every clan gets support at least once a year.
That is the goal. It didn't used to be that way.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
as of standard V era standard.
Well, in G they did it pretty well.
Yeah.
Like getting support once a year.
Exactly. But in standard they made that an actual thing that they said to the community that they were kind of already doing. It's like when you make that promise that you're already making. I'm gonna pick you up from work, Mom. Promise. But I've done it every day this week.
So that being said, it kind of feels like no matter if Bushiroad commits to doing so, do we just have too many for them to do? Can they do it? Yes. Have they been doing it? Yes. Should they make themselves do it? Are they putting themselves in this box? I think yes. Let's talk about why that is.
It really makes it hard for them to balance a game, to continue to come up with new designs for a game. Every one of the paladins have different arts. But at the end of the day, a paladin is a paladin, and there's not much differentiation between them. And so it's just where do I go with the design? Well, I can't give it to Shadows because I gave it to Royals, and I can't give Gold something because I was going to give it to Shadows, and screw it!
Yeah, that's right. Throws everything into the game.
You have 2 retired clans, Narukami, Kagero. You have 2 ninja clans. You have all these little things, and some of them just feel the same. You switch between Aquaforce and Nova Grappler. Sure, one's mechs, one's, sailors, Navy. But it's they do very similar things, and it's some sets, Aquaforce does things better than Nova Grappler, and some sets, Nova Grappler just does better things than Aquaforce. And it's just but they're the same. It's a multi-attack clan that just feels very similar.
Yeah, I think we should delineate real quick between, there's the clans that are basically aesthetically the same in terms of appearance. So we have stuff like Royal Paladin, Gold Paladin, One's got silvery armor, one's got gold armor.
Right.
And then you have stuff like Aquaforce and Nova Grappler then, which are kind of mechanically the same,
Correct.
while not aesthetically the same. You know, as you said, then Nova's are robots, and then you have Aquaforce, which is like Navy-esque and dragons, and so you kind of have both of those different similarities that are occurring between different clans in this game, right? And I think that's important just to kind of make that distinction really quick before we go on.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I just think it's a lot to design against because, you know, you're looking at these cards, you're like Excel, you know, Nova Grappler, Aquaforce, Pale Moon, and it's like multi-attack, multi-attack, multi-attack. At some point, sure, you can identify more with a circus, so you play Pale Moon, but why not just play the better of the aggressive playstyle? Like,
well, that stems down to like what you want out of a card game, right? If you want to play a certain mechanical style, then yeah, sure, you're gonna pick whichever one is probably the best one. But some people play because they want to use this mechanical style in a form that sort of represents the way they play, right? Even if it is just a difference in artwork, some people want to have that choice when they're playing a card game.
Yeah.
Like, not everyone plays this just because, oh, I want to play the best deck and win with the best deck. Some people are just like, no, I just want to play this because I think it's cool looking.
it's just a lot of money to pay these these designers and these artists to go and make new art for this clan, that clan. It's like, think about something like Magic that has 5 different colors compared to Vanguard that has effectively 24 different colors, and then having an artist do a variety of it's like, how many artists does Bushiroad have compared to Magic?
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, I'm not trying to say I know one way or another, but it almost feels like Bushiroad would have to have more.
Yeah, that's right. I think it was actually a very interesting point you brought up there, Ken, in regards to especially Nova Grapplers and Pale Moon. I think it's a really interesting case of the mechanics, because depending on how aggressively reductionist you are in the turns, they're very similar. You're both multi-attacking clans. What I think really defines the two of them in a very interesting way is how flavorful the multi-attacking is. Because for Pale Moon, it really gets to the idea of a circus. One unit goes in, disappears, and another one pops back out again, in sort of like a Jack-in-the-Box style. And it feels a lot different to what Nova Grappler is doing, which is like the restanding robot, punch, punch,
Right.
punch. So like aesthetically, I guess, and that kind of, it really captures the flavor-wise, I think.
It's more of a
between the two
novelty.
clans. Yeah, right. It's still doing the same thing. At the end of the day, you're multi-attacking, but it's in a different flavor, which I think at least keeps it a little bit more fresh than something else that's present within the different clans.
Yeah, I mean, when I typically try to explain Vanguard to somebody, and they're like, I usually start off with, well, what do you like? And they're like, well, I like to play competitive decks. And I was like, all right, that's fine, but like, what do you like as an individual? Do you like dragons? Do you like retiring? Do you like control? And it's like, a lot of times they'll say, oh, I like retiring. And I'm like, all right, Kagero and Urakami. And they're like, well, what's the difference? And I'm like, the art. Let's just do this. Like, the art.
Yeah.
and sure, there's mechanics that are different, because Kagero is more about resetting a Vanguard, and Urakami is more about retiring.
Being worse than not Kagero.
Yeah. But it's just a lot, because if somebody has a choice to choose from, and it's like, am I going to do just the same thing over and over? And then I move to the similar clan. So like, oh, I play Nova Grappler, I play Pale Moon, or I play Royal Paladin, Shadow Paladin, Gold Paladin. Like, I mean, it's all the same in my opinion, and it just makes it hard to really continue the support cycles the way it should.
I think, not to steal Andrew's words about this discussion, but what's important with this is to give a historical perspective for why a lot of this oversaturation has occurred.
Yeah. And
that really started in Breaker of Limits, which was BT06, I believe, the original BT06.
Yes.
And it's caused a shift. And I don't know if you want to take it away from here so you have your
because
own...
of the anime manga.
Yes, exactly.
Because essentially, the writer of the manga was like, I don't know what to do. So I'm going to have this war on Cray, because of eventually revealed to be Link Joker doing Link Joker things. And we're going to delete all of Royal Paladin, OTT, and Kagero.
And Shadow Paladin.
Did Shadows get deleted?
Yeah.
It was Shadows that got deleted, not OTG.
Correct.
Well, OTT transitioned to Genesis, though.
Well,
But that was at a later period, technically.
Later, okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's...
Essentially,
they
they were tired of their main characters growing up and then still playing the same clan, so they made a new one. So it's the author's fault, essentially. Why we have right now Gold Paladin, Narukami, Genesis.
Yeah, which were all just the same
Yeah,
clan,
they're all-
effectively, aesthetically anyways.
and then
We're
a new
basically the
villain in
same
Link
clan.
Joker.
Yeah, the Link Joker came along as
They
a
just
clan.
added 4 new clans in that season, and then added Gear Chronicle next. Token Ranbu is just more of a game only type thing. But they also added that.
Mm-hmm.
So they've just been. They started off with too much to do in too little time in the first few sets. I mean, Great Nature, Nubatama had to wait forever to get good sets. Grand Blue waited 4 whole sets to be a real clan.
Yeah, they had cards in the very first set.
Yeah, and then in 6 they first came out and became a real thing, and by then you already have 3 new clans to compete with, or 2, and then another in Genesis, and then another in Link Joker. So over time, like they started with this wild vision, eventually caught up to it, spent a lot of money and work and art differentiating all the clans apart, but kind of at the end of the day they all feel similar to something else and only have slight aesthetic differences. And because of how much time we've spent, I think our judgment as players, because people are like, well, I don't want my clan to be taken away, and of course not, it's your clan that you identify with. Did it need to be here in the first place? Did they just give themselves too much work to live up to, and now they kind of have, but now constantly have to carry this on forever, or people will be upset unless you somehow get a solution in place where Nubatama and Murakumo merge because they're so similar. Their identities comes from the cards themselves, not anything they do. They've had so many mechanic iterations. Nubatama itself has had no mechanic or discard that couldn't be viable, and then kind of having discard, and then kind of having this after image to bouncing back the hand to do more of a ninja thing, to then having
No, that was after it
Shadow
was
Stitch
the
was-
Nubatama.
yeah,
Shadow
Shadow
Stitch
was
Kumo.
Murakumo.
Yeah.
And then having dominate, and then back to discard again, and then now whatever Nubatama is going to be again.
Token.
Token.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So
It's
now-
Token now, yeah.
they go through so many different iterations to do something different, and each Murakumo release does something different to support whatever their vision is for it. It feels like their identities could be so much better if they just pushed them together and made clan fusions, which we thought would be something that would happen at some point early in Vanguard. They never got around to that. Do you think clan fusions or merging paladin type clans or dragon type clans or ninja type clans or multi-attack clans together could make a more cohesive game that would be not only easier to support but also make it fresh and interesting, taking down the workload but also keeping players interested?
I honestly don't know if reducing the clan size is the right way to go about it to make players more interested. As it is right now, even if the mechanical changes are really frustrating at times, and Bushi doesn't really know what they're doing with some of the clans, like Genesis, Nubatama, Murakumo, a bunch of these clans that don't have a defined identity from the start, it feels like the lore aspect and the sort of artistic design aspect of these clans is so well defined that it's one of the big reasons why people play these clans anyway.
Mhm.
Like, have you met a Dimension Police player? They're not playing because the clan's good. They're playing it because they love giant robots.
And
Right,
punch
yeah.
things.
And
and
punch
win
things
games.
really hard,
Yeah.
right? Like, that's the Dimension Police player. They're not playing because they're not playing Dimension Police because it's a good deck at some point, right? It might be a good deck, but they're playing it because they love the aesthetic. I don't think reducing the aesthetic would do Bushi any favors in sort of supporting this game going forward. They're sort of stuck with it in that aspect, at least.
Yeah, I think Bushiroad just needs to move to higher number of clans and sets. So, if you take 8 clans in a set and then you want to do extra boosters. So the way I kind of envision it is you have your main boosters, which most of your, 8 clans, and they'll get, VRs or triple Rs, and maybe even
dictated
double
by the
Rs.
anime and
Right,
whatever else. Yeah.
And
it's-
then you have your extra boosters for things like reprints. So I know Bushiroad likes to build a deck out of a box. But I think that at some point there's so much clutter in the commons that you're printing that it causes just a lot of issues. And so my thought is give us main boosters that have value in it with triple rares, double rares, maybe VRs, maybe even rares, just to kind of fill it out. And then you move to an extra booster set where then you can reprint triggers. Because I understand you don't want triggers to be $5. Like, you don't want a common to be $5. It's not really healthy for the game.
Yeah.
But you can go to a cycle where every couple months you're releasing an 8-clan set, so you know your clan's not going to be necessarily obsolete, but you can also then have space between sets. You can also have a lot of things. So I just think they need to go about it a different way, because right now it feels too much of the same. Like, how do you differentiate? Like in Limit Break, they tried to do, all right, so you had Revit, and then you had Tetra, and then you had Maelstrom, which all had different play styles. But like, are they going to try that again, or are they going to go with one sole identity of a deck? And I think once again, it's just all hard to do because they all just tend to mash and be similar.
Yeah. Is it also a case of just like, does our community just suck? Like in regards to that, is it just that, you know, Bushy Road should really just merge it all together, but they can't because because people are people. Like at the end of the day,
they don't want to lose their thing.
Yeah, but when you set a precedent, like this is brought up in numerous discussions, like when you set a precedent, you kind of have to keep that. Like you can't set a high level of customer service and then go down.
Yeah.
Like once you set, like if you overnight all your shipments, and then somebody's like, all right, cool, I'm gonna buy this from this store, and I know they're gonna overnight it, and that store doesn't overnight, they're not gonna buy it from them again. You've set that customer service level, so now you have to keep it up, and I think that's where Bushy Road is. And the only way to circumvent that is to restructure the way they do boosters and extra boosters.
That's fair.
You can see it, yeah. I would like to offer an alternative viewpoint on this that I've been sort of cogitating for the past couple of minutes here. In that, so you made the comparison previously, it's like, oh, well, Magic has 5 colors, and Vanguard has 24 clans, so it kind of feels like everything has to be sort of spread out. But I feel like Magic might be the wrong comparison. Consider instead Yu-Gi-Oh! Everyone's seen the first season of Yu-Gi-Oh!, right? Pegasus Island and whatnot, and remember all the different decks on that island? We had dinosaurs, we had bugs, we had harpies, we had whatever the heck Yu-Gi was running. We had
magicians.
we had Joey's gambling. We had the cute deck that Teo was running. We had zombies. We had America robots.
Yeah, machines.
We had tunes and stuff, right? Instead of having sets of things,
really like tunes.
they had thematic things that would work together as archetypes, right? And it feels like those themes are what both the Vanguard author and Bushido the company are trying to design towards right now, where you pick a theme, and if you like that theme, you find something within that theme that fits your play style. That's why every clan has so many different, like pre-V series, so many clans have different mechanics that were very similar to other clans, right? But the way it works is that you could pick a theme instead of something like Magic, where you pick a color or you pick a theme and then you got shunted into a color because of that. Now you can pick a theme and then pick a play style in that theme that allows you to play the way you want, right? Let's say you really like dragons, but you don't want to play retire control or big numbers. You just want to like hammer a lot of big itty bitty hits, right? There's an Arakami deck for you like that. Let's say you like to play ninjas and you like the aspect of ninjas like vanishing off the field. You're not going to play Murakumo because they're calling swarming onto the field, but you're going to play Nubatama because you can play that style. And while the deck itself may not be good, for the kind of player, to coin a Magic term, the Vorthos player who plays as a sort of lore expressive Vorthos Johnny, I guess, as a lore expressive, like self-expression form of deck building, that's really appealing. I think that's really where Bushiroad's trying to find its main core audience. They're very clearly not a competitive card game. They're a lore-based card game with huge choice of mechanics. And the fact that any deck can win in Vanguard isn't actually a detriment at that point. It's encouraging to new players because they can play how they want, and they're not just getting beaten down to the ground by meta, with a few of those exceptions, obviously.
I think kind of just a couple points about that. Yu-Gi-Oh! Has that freedom because it has staples. It has, now granted, Vanguard has 16 cards in the deck that are definitely something, and those are going to probably carry over through different archetypes unless the archetypes are extremely xenophobic and, like the old pre-G archetypes like Seal Dragons. You need to run Seal Dragon triggers or you lose. and you're very sad. Or Angels, definitely. You needed the Celestial triggers, or you were very sad. Sunny Smile is an exception. Don't at me in the comments. Yu-Gi-Oh! Has MST and Solemn Judgment that you can run into any deck, and only maybe 20 of the cards are your actual monster engine. Even then, some of your monsters are also staples. And you can just take out the theme that you like now and put in the next theme that works with the rest of the cards you already have to play a more competitive deck, let's say. Or you want to try a new theme. So then you just take out your engine, your synchros, your Xyz, your all of that, and you plug it into other deck. You know, with the spells and traps that go with that theme only. It's like having mermails and having all of the stuff that goes with mermails, and then going over to dragons when that gets good, and just getting the new cards you need and plugging in your other good stuff. Because it just works. It's like a USB cable, and you just put in a new device to work it with, kind of. In Vanguard, once you decide on the theme you want to play, you kind of fall into the hole, and then you're stuck there as more stuff comes at you this way. And you eventually get worse and worse until your support comes around again. And even then, that might not put you back at the top of the pile. It could put you just a few slots up. It could put you all the way up. You could be very lucky and be Bermuda players. It could put you just somewhere in the mix, or even barely move you up at all. Like kind of like we predict Murakumo in VBT06 probably doesn't do that much for it overall. Could be wrong. I don't know. So Vanguard has this problem competitively, and we are competitive players. We do need to put a competitive spin on this video for full context. If you want to play this game competitively, if you don't want to get just pushed out of the game by meta, even casual players who just don't want to lose every time at locals, you have to think about what themes, what decks, what flavor profiles are the most sustainable for your money to get wins, to get more cards. Why do I play Kagero? Because more often than not, it's viable enough to get me wins, so I can get money, so I can play the other flavorful things I want to do. It's to play what I really want to play, whatever that may be. It just so happens that Kagero, a usually competitive deck, is viable. If Keith wants to be a Narukami player, which is usually not competitively viable, he then has to pick up other decks like Messiahs, or back when he played in G, Grand Blue. He has to pick those up so he can get wins, so he can justify playing this game at all, so he can play the clan he actually wants to play for fun. And that could be a greater strategy by Bushiroad. Of course, they want you to pick up multiple clans, so you buy more sets, because if you only play one clan, you're only giving them your money once per year, if that. So it feels like because there's so much bad, you have to buy into the good so you can justify playing the bad. And that's what I mean by are there too many clans? One of the many things is there just too much to support to keep a competitively balanced game going, even in a diverse meta where you can play a lot of things, because not everything is up there. Usually, however large Tier 1, Tier 1.5, Tier 2 are, there is still a Tier 3, Tier 4. And some people love Tier 3, Tier 4 decks. They kind of...
I'll just stare at Andrew really quick now for the rest of the video.
They kind of hope that their clan gets really good and that other people come in and justify their play style. I guess some people love being different. Direct point at Andrew playing things. Nobody plays this. It's mine now. I like this. Yes. Hipsters. Like Andrew. Look at Andrew again.
Yeah.
I play non-meta decks that are non-meta, but now my non-meta clans are meta.
Oh no!
Yeah.
So with that, there's so much bad, and there's a lot of bad stuff printed in every card game. This one's no exception. But because everything is so shunted into its own slot, because clans don't mix ever.
Yeah.
Bushiroad has this unique problem of, well, now I have to support everything. Some of it's totally worthless. Some of it's basically a money sink. If I simply had a lesser number, would it be a better game? Competitively.
Competitively, I think I agree that, yeah, it absolutely would be a better game competitively if they have fewer clans to support.
Yeah, but I think on the flip side of this, and something that Bushiroad, we've talked a lot about, I think the drawbacks to having this oversaturation of clans in Cardfight Vanguard. And on the flip side of that, I think what Bushiroad has really nailed and tapped into with card game players is the idea of identity and this aesthetics. Because players really get attached to whatever that might be, whether it's the clan's art, whether it's the mechanic in some regard, whatever that will be and whatever they latch onto, they really continue playing that through thick and thin, regardless of the position in the meta. Support, a lot of the time they're going to complain for who knows how long in regards to it, but they'll keep doing it. And with that, you really cater to the casuals in Cardfight Vanguard. And that is what is going to sustain your community as well. You cannot cater to just the competitive players or your game will just die. You won't have this with a wide enough support base to be able to support it. And I think by having that ability for players to be able to identify and say, Kalgaro really isn't my thing. I really do like Narukami, even though, it's pretty similar in art and whatever else, and, you can draw whatever parallels. But the player is still able to decide their identity by what they want from Bushiroad and play this game. So it is an issue of oversaturation in one way, but it also helps the game, in another way, or at least I see it helping it in some ways. I don't know what you guys think about that, but...
Yeah, I think you hit the nail right on the head. On a competitive aspect, yeah, less clans would be better, just to make the game a little bit more competitive, but it really is the casual, player base that keeps the game running. And I think if we all, as a community, understand that, yeah, we'd love tournaments that had better prizes. And yeah, I'd love to go to bigger tournaments and 1Ks and 5Ks and whatever, case openings, whatever you want to call. But it's really, playing a card game with a bunch of your friends, kind of like what we do, when we all get together. That's really the experiences that I like, and that is just considered casual. So...
Yeah, it is. It's like, if it was really came down to that, we should all just go play Magic and just all compete the 10Ks and call it a day, If that was the case, that's what we should do. That'd just be a better play.
Flavor-wise, aesthetic-wise, I like this game.
Yes, yeah.
So I think, in closing, it's, I think personally they should go with bigger boosters, because then they could change their product cycle. They can hit certain things they need, they can give clans the support they need, because let's just be honest here, sometimes triple rares, VRs, and double rares is all you really need for a deck. You don't necessarily need a bunch of commons and whatnot.
You need trash commons, give them to somebody else who wants the support.
And that's my opinion, but let us know what your opinion is.
So Bushiroad has put themselves in this corner. We'd like to see them fight it out with just more thoughtful support with what they have. There's not really a good way to reduce the number of clans. You can't stop giving support to a fan base once you've provided it. Ken articulated that very well, I think. And in closing, I think not more product. We all don't want that. Our poor wallets are already being hit up 3 or 4 times a year at this point just to get all of our decks updated. I think bigger boosters, more thoughtfully released boosters are probably the way to go. And you can just, as he said, just reprint the stuff that you're afraid people aren't going to be able to get. And I think that's a perfectly fine way to do it. Yu-Gi-Oh! Does it all the time. Take a page out of that book. That's probably the best way to keep all of the clans that you have created now for us supported.
Yeah.
And I think that's our discussion. If you'd like to keep this discussion going, please hit us up in the comments with your own thoughts, and we'll be sure to answer you. This has been Team Absolution, signing off. Peace.